Stephanie McMahon is back, and with her, the return of shitty, overly descriptive, and highly artificial promos in which she buries everyone. Fuck me. Funny how, kayfabe wise, she talks shit about Shane McMahon not being such a nice guy and attacking the Raw roster with the SmackDown roster just to validate himself after his Hell in a Cell loss. She seems to know an awful lot about that, doesn't she? She's been doing that to the main roster talent for years. I want her off WWE TV, goddammit! The silver lining, at least, is that we now know Kurt will be in the Raw Survivor Series team, and that's certainly to the benefit of the match. Welcome to 20 by 20, where we bitch about things we dislike and things we like about WWE shows. In this case, this week's Monday Night Raw. Feeling the pressure from the Queen of Talent emasculation, Kurt Angle tells a late Miz to shut up and that he's defending his Intercontinental Championship against a mystery opponent as punishment for arriving late and not being at Raw last week to help defend his fellow wrestlers. About time, Kurt lashed out at Miz for being a twat. Nia Jax returns and faces Bayley as Alicia Fox's replacement since she's the captain of the Women's Survivor Series team for Raw. That part makes sense, and Alicia was doing her usual shtick of being an annoying and loud little twat, and I would call it cute if it wasn't for the fact that I've just simply never been a fan of hers. Really, like with Stephanie, I'd just rather not see her on TV at all. The returning Nia defeated Bayley. Bayley looks as weak as she ever has, and Alicia picks Nia for the Raw women's team. I wish I could tell you that I give a shit. Samoa Joe is back! Yes, something to smile about! And of course, he easily squashed Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil. And that's a good thing, because between you and I don't care for either man either. But I certainly miss the Samoan big man, and it's good to see that he's healthy enough to get back in the ring and do what he does best. That's awesome. You may have thought that Matt Hardy was teaming with Jason Jordan. You may have thought that he'd remain a big deal after that tremendous surprise return and championship win at WrestleMania with his brother. But instead, they didn't hold the titles for long, didn't manage to win them back, have repeatedly lost most of the matches they've been in, and little of the broken brilliance has managed to present itself since their return. The powers that be have conditioned us to expect the Hardys to lose most of the time, and as a result, their initial impact and presence has been greatly diminished. They're essentially the return of the Dudley Boys 2.0 because the exact same thing was done to them, and they ended up leaving after putting up with it for a while because of it. It's such a fucking shame and such a misuse of two of the biggest stars in the modern wrestling scene. After their return to the company, they said that they wanted to return because they're not as young as they used to be and wanted to make a comeback to the platform that helped give them their status, and I was as pumped as anyone was during and for the few weeks after their return, but they have completely fucked it all up, thank you very fucking much. God damn it. I knew they would have been better off staying in the independent scene. Anyway, Matt was Miz's mystery opponent, and it was a good match, and Miz retained. Miz keeps doing his thing, and Matt's gonna be put on the back burner again like he's been for months. Moving on, because I want to stop feeling irritated about things that I care about when it comes to pro wrestling. Backstage, our god is lovely, talented champ Alexa Bliss tries to butter up Kurt and suggests that he replaces Mickey with someone from the Mae Young Classic. And she even suggested that Mae Young herself is dug up from her grave to replace her instead. Am I a bad person for finding that hysterical? Because I found it hysterical. But Kurt, still tense, tells her to woman up because she's taking Mickey on in the main event and for the title. Yes, please. Asuka beats the living crap out of Stacy Colon in a squash match and looks vicious while doing so. This is more along the lines of what I expected to see at her TLC debut, but yet again, Emma was a much bigger star than a local talent or whatever this woman that went up against her happened to be, and Asuka looked about as dominant as she can look, although admittedly, the crowd was pretty quiet for this match. And since I've just mentioned Emma, I'd like to take a moment to say that I was legitimately saddened to hear that she was fired. I've followed her the entirety of her WWE career, since her NXT days through all the NXT good and all of the main roster bad, and it's been great to see that she's received so much support from many wrestlers all over the world, as well as from countless fans. I'm sure she really appreciates that, and I agree with other wrestlers when they say that she'll make it big wherever she goes if she decides to eventually test the waters elsewhere. Emma, thanks for all the time and effort you put while in the company. I was a big fan of yours, still am a big fan of yours. You were given crap to work with during much of your career there, but you did what you could with it, and you had some memorable matches and overall work in NXT. You'll be missed, and if you wrestle elsewhere, I'll certainly keep my eye out for your work. Best of luck and wishes to you. Daniel Bryan shows up on Raw to tell Kurt that he wasn't on board with Shane's siege of Raw last week, and so the plot thickens. But not before Kane shows up and chokeslams Daniel in the dark in Kurt's office. Oh boy. The ball keeps rolling, and I'm interested in seeing what keeps happening leading up to the pay-per-view. And I thought that Daniel Bryan was on the no contact list, but has that changed apparently? He got chokeslammed by Kane, probably got chokeslammed into a soft platform or some sort, a cushion, a mattress, I don't know, but didn't expect to see that. Finn Balor defeats Cesaro in a thoroughly entertaining match, as expected from the two great in-ring talents. Finn then walks up the ramp but is greeted by Kane, who takes him out with a tombstone piledriver on the stage. So I guess the mini feud will continue, if that's what it is. I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of this whole thing, because Kane just seems to have it out for everyone lately. And then he had his match against Rollins, which I enjoyed, and again, Kane has been presented as the monster he should always be presented as, and it seems obvious enough that Strowman will come back at some point, and it turns out he came out later in the night, though I don't know how one survives being crushed in a trash compactor, and take out the big red machine to regain his place in the roster. Kane defeated Rollins after the Bar attacked Ambrose at ringside too, so I guess the alliance between the Bar and Kane continues as well. Or maybe it's just a case of heels siding with heels. I guess. And if Kane's gone over Balor and now Rollins, you know it's serious business. Oh, and there was also that bit with Miz and the Miztourage finding that trash bag and Miz being scared to death of the possibility of Strowman coming after him. Good stuff. There was a trick or street fight between Rhino, Slater, Anderson, and Gallows, and they all wore costumes and Rhino and Slater won. That's all I know, because I refuse to waste precious minutes watching such talented performers be ridiculed the way that they have been for so long. Remember what I said about the Hardys and the Dudleys earlier? The same applies here. Fuck that nonsense. Elias sang dirt at Jordan again, and Jordan came out for some payback and ended up stomping his guitar into trash. And so it continues, and I wish I cared. I'm really getting tired of saying that about WWE stuff. Kalisto defeated Drew Gulak in a match that was given less time than the tag promo that Gulak and Enzo had before the actual match itself. So the match was pointless, as is often the case with anything 205. But you know what? I actually found Gulak a bit humorous in his demeanor. He reminds me of a classic Kurt Angle or John Laurinaitis during his heel run with his whole people power shtick. I still don't know why Gulak and anyone else has sided with Enzo though, since that hasn't been explained on Raw, and I won't tune into 205 for that in case it's actually been explained in that show, so that aspect of it still makes no sense. In a perfect world though, maybe Gulak would be given some adequate time and attention, and maybe something good will come out of what he's doing right now. But in a perfect world, the whole division would also actually matter. Our goddess and champion retained against Mickie James in a rather unexpected fashion, with Alexa hitting Mickie with a right hand, Big Show style, to gain the pin. The match was decent but not as good as their TLC encounter, and it was pretty obvious that the belt wasn't going anywhere. Gotta wonder what's next for the champ, because apart from herself, maybe Mickie, and Asuka, Raw's women division is looking rather weak, and I'm not sure we're gonna get anything better or as good as Alexa versus Mickie for the women in the near future. Braun Strowman returns in a garbage truck and pounces on Miz in the Miztourage, ending with all men at ringside and Curtis Axel getting power slammed by Braun some 7 times? And that last time was through the announcer's table, and the crowd popped big for it, and Strowman really hasn't missed a beat in the short time that he's been gone. And that was Raw this week, and it was an average show at best. To be honest, I was even bored on a handful of parts of it, to the point in which I honestly wanted to just stop watching. I'm unhappy to see Stephanie back, and displeased with the fact that so much of the talent is being misused and wasted. But what do you think? Leave a comment to let me know, or write to me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Wrestling20x20. Until then, I hope to see you here for this week's SmackDown Breakdown, 20x20 style. Let's hope that it's a more entertaining show that makes us want to keep watching all the way through. And don't forget, before you go, to hit a running power slam on that subscribe button. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.